Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. If you missed yesterday, I had a lot to say about an article in the Hollywood Reporter about the streamers bidding on comedy specials. Pretty lengthy episode, especially for a Sunday, so go check that one out. Today's a lot of fun. Chad Daniels was on with I-95 Radio and started telling Mitch Hedberg stories. The Hedbergaissance is happening. Can you feel it in the air? A lot of people talking about Mitch Hedberg all of a sudden. Chad told I-95, I think one-liners are funny. One of the funniest people that has ever lived is Mitch Hedberg. He was just one brilliant one-liner after another, but I think to really deep dive a story, you feel that human connection. That's pretty cool. Daniels used to open for Mitch Hedberg on the road. Daniels revealed that he is the unnamed friend in a classic Hedberg joke. My friend came up to me, said, hey, you know what I like? Mashed potatoes. And it's like, dude, you got to give me time to guess. Chad said, that was actually about me. We were out eating and I said that. And he grabbed his notebook and wrote something down. I watched the set that night. Chad said, I've never been more thrilled in my stand-up career than to have Hedberg write a joke about me. It was crazy. Chad told Dan Soder, I used to use that as a credit because I didn't have any credits. Soder said he would have done the same thing. That's a badass credit. Daniels got the gig opening for Mitch early in his career when the two met in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Chad said he learned important lessons from Mitch Hedberg. It wasn't about stand-up necessarily. It was about how to treat the staff, how to treat people who were opening for you, how to treat the bookers, just everybody. I don't know anybody who had a bad thing to say about him, so I try to live a little like that. Brett Terhune was on with WISH-TV and said, don't confuse the character with the dude. Brett told WISH, every day there's something new happening in the news. I started doing a character when people were burning Nikes. I just burned Nikes in my mom's backyard as a joke. People would say, this guy's an idiot, but it was all for laughs. In the current political climate, you can't please everyone, but you toe the line and make fun of everybody, especially in comedy. You make fun of yourself first, and that opens the door to poke fun at the rest of the world. How much of himself is in the character? I'm somewhat spoken as just me. I wear none of those clothes. I like to humble myself every once in a while, but that character is not necessarily me. Hey, good news for me. Scrubs is coming back. Now, when it's coming back is another question. I guess if you live long enough, everything happens. 40 years went by and the police finally released some new material, Synchronicity Deluxe Edition. Scrubs creator Bill Lawrence confirms plans for Scrubs to return to TV. 14 years after Scrubs ended. It seems like it's been longer. Bill Lawrence says he's eager to return for a revived series, revealing he'd not only like to begin work within the next 6 months, but also like to introduce a new cast alongside the legacy cast. Well, of course, so that's how that's going to work. Bill told Lad Bible, look, there's no huge drive because everybody's successful and I think the show was on for like 72 years. But on the other hand, medical people over here right now are very heroic to me. It's been a tough road and no one's becoming a doctor right now to get rich in America. So we've all been hanging out and talking. So I'm open to it. And I don't want to do it as a movie. I'm definitely open to doing a couple more years of that show. Not only be fun to see what the characters I used to love are now, but also to see what a young doctor nowadays looks like as far as the kids coming in behind them, you know? So we've been talking a lot about it. I think we'll figure it out in the next 6 months what we want to do. I'm just busy too, man, in a great way. Of the main cast from the first 8 seasons of Scrubs, season 9 was a little funky. The reboot cast would probably be only missing Ken Jenkins, who played Dr. Kelso. This article says Jenkins is retired. I thought he had passed away. Nope. I'm glad he didn't pass away. I don't know why I made that up. Glad to see that he's still around, born in 1940 in Dayton, Ohio. John C. McGinley, who played Dr. Cox, has taken a recent break from acting. He'll do it. It seems the easiest to get back would be Zach Braff and Donald Faison, considering they already have a Scrubs podcast and 2 commercials together. Yeah, those two would be idiots. If somebody calls and goes, hey guys, Scrubs, and those 2 don't come back, that's stupid. Take the money. This article's ridiculous. Robert Macchio, who played the Todd, may make a cameo. He stepped away from acting to pursue his career as a real estate broker in Santa Monica. I'm sure he'll come by and do the Todd. I got to scroll down here to my bumps from yesterday. Also, Bill Lawrence related. Where did you go? Wait, did I not move into the document? Why don't you edit this, John? Because that's not fun. I'm trying to tell you about Ted Lasso. I see what I did. I had hit Control-C for cut, but I never did the paste part. Now I've put paste, and the story's where it belongs. Ted Lasso, also created by Bill Lawrence. Guy's pretty good at TV. He talked about a potential season 4 of Ted Lasso and says it's all up to Jason Sudeikis. No pressure, Jason. We'd all make a Ted Lasso season 4 if Jason was into it. Otherwise, I don't know what to tell you. No pressure, Jason. Lawrence Slow Collider, whatever Jason feels like doing and whatever his decision is, we're all down with it. Not only is he the star, he's the head writer, and he is also the dude whose life just has to be completely overhauled and moved to a foreign country with young children. It's a big deal. So as a fan, if someone's like, oh, it's going to happen again, I'll go nuts. As a partner, I'm down for whatever he wants to do. I have a couple questions here, and I want to be, and I sincerely, I don't want to have sarcasm in my voice. I sincerely get Jason Sudeikis wanting to be around his children when they're growing up. In my career, I missed a lot of the early days of my kids' lives because I wouldn't get home from the city to 7:30, and then Dad would be exhausted. And then when Sirius kicked me out the door and suddenly Dad was home all the time, and I went to every soccer practice and every dance thing and every musical, it was great. So I understand Jason Sudeikis, but I have some questions. And there's a lilt in my voice. I'm being serious here. Can we not write from home? Do we have to write Ted Lasso in the UK? Why? Especially if this thing's going to make a lot of money. If you say to the writers, hey, we're going to make Ted Lasso, but you come to Jason Sudeikis' town. I don't know if he's in LA or somewhere else. Aren't the writers going to go, yeah? Let's think about what the show Ted Lasso is. Do we need to film some exteriors in the UK? Yeah. All right, Jason, you mind going over to UK for 4 days? None of us like to be away from our family for 4 days, but you could do that. The interior shots in the locker room, could we not film that in a soundstage somewhere? The soccer stuff, could we not film the close-ups on some soccer field somewhere and CG in some stands? Could we not do that? Why does this have to be filmed in the UK, other than for tax purposes? Lawrence continued, it's a big deal, so as a fan, if someone's like, oh, it's going to happen again, I'll go nuts. As a partner, I'm down for whatever he wants to do. They're making a documentary about Gary Coleman. Remember Gary Coleman from Different Strokes? That was a sitcom in the 80s. Maybe you weren't around yet. It was a thing. This will be on Peacock, so nobody will really see it. The 90-minute documentary about Gary Coleman premieres August 29th. It follows Gary Coleman's rise to international fame and his struggles with living in the spotlight, along with the controversy surrounding his tragic death at age 42. The logline here suggests something mysterious may have happened, so we'll have to watch that. Martin Lawrence got into it with a heckler. Martin Lawrence was on stage. He asked someone to bring up some water. Someone in the audience yelled, hurry up! Martin Lawrence responded with a smile, F you, and I dare you to run up on stage. It ain't going to be no Dave Chappelle crap. I'll whoop your ass. People on social media enjoyed it. One fan wrote, don't forget who the original host of Def Comedy Jam is. Another echoed that, saying, brought that Def Comedy Jam Martin out of him? All right, now. A third said, the people that always say hurry up during your water breaks still haven't learned throughout the years. Put Martin Lawrence on comedy's Mount Rushmore, and they wrote, for me, it's Eddie, Martin, and then there's everybody else. I assume the Eddie's Eddie Murphy? Eddie Griffin? Can't be Eddie Griffin. Well, maybe it could be Eddie Griffin if you're putting Martin Lawrence on the Mount Rushmore of comedy. You're going to put Eddie and Martin, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor cover act? Come on. From Human Rights Watch, your home for comedy news. On July 26th, a court in Kazakhstan's capital sentenced 31-year-old Alexander Merkul, a stand-up comedian, to 10 days detention on charges of petty hooliganism, allegedly for using obscene language during a performance in June. Merkul pleaded guilty. His joke, Kazakhstan is new, poverty is old, the reference there being to a slogan that translates to New Kazakhstan, used regularly by the president. It is believed that is what provoked authorities to respond by prosecuting him for obscene words used elsewhere in his act. In May, a court sentenced another stand-up comic to 15 days in detention for swearing in public. That comedian, who also pleaded guilty, had joked about corruption in Kazakhstan and made a comment about massive flooding in the country's north earlier that year that caused the displacement of at least 120,000 people. Not sure what the joke there was. The Human Rights Watch says freedom of expression is not absolute, but international human rights law sets clear boundaries on legitimate government measures to regulate it. Kazakhstan is acting well beyond those boundaries, and it's past time it starts respecting them. Alexa Elmy's show, Alexa Play Alexa Elmy, is at Fringe at Venue 29. The show is at 14:55. Now the show's an hour and 5 minutes, so that works out now through the 17th. Alexa Elmy brings fun sorority president energy, frequently crossing into expressions of aggression and rage in her solo play. Real-life human Alexa is fed up with Amazon's bastardization of her name. Thus, she creates a support group, Alexa's Anonymous. And that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too. It's a Monday, so there's a new episode of 5 Good News Stories. That's the podcast I host, where I tell you 5 stories, all of them good news. Number 5 Good News Stories. See you tomorrow.